Chilling.
Hello. So, have you ever wondered what happens when you pair me in HBM's nuclear? Wait, have you ever wondered what happens when you pair me in that mod? Well, yeah, today we're gonna figure that out. So, I may or may not have built a missile launch silo, and I'm gonna give you a tutorial on how to build it. So let's first test this out. Airlock door, nice. This isn't survival friendly necessarily. This isn't really survival friendly actually. You need a bunch of concrete, a turbo fan, but you can build this in survival. You can definitely build this in survival. So why don't we give it a little test run? Let's take this. Let's take this and why don't we I already blew this house up a few times. It's gonna take a beating in this video. I'm not even sure if it's gonna last at all. I didn't need to go there. I could have just said it from here. It is called, if you're wondering, yeah, that was the turbo fan that just blew me across the whole damn map. So why don't we give it a little test? Basically, I'm gonna give you the whole structure of it. There's a fence protecting you from getting shredded here by the turbo fan. The turbo fan is the thing generating all of the power with the power of kerosene. It goes through a wire into here. Now, you're gonna need a mod pack for this. Mod pack, And why don't we look at the mod you need for this? It's called Bombs, Guns, and Planes, the mod pack. It contains HBM's nuclear tech mod. Sometimes the title might be misleading so you need this mod, Wireless Redstone CBE. You need to download Bombs, Guns, and Planes and install this mod because it's compatible with it. I found it. And the reason you're going to need it is for the siren, unless you want pain and for it to look ugly. So, you need a missile launch pad, redstone. It's not really a block by block tutorial. I don't like doing block by block tutorials. I'm not just gonna copy this. I'm gonna let you have imagination with this. So, let's take a look at this. Airlock door, and I use concrete tiles, and I also use these glowstone panels that you'll also find in the mod pack. I'm not sure what version this is. I might figure that out soon. I'm not sure. I might post it or something like that. So why don't we give it a little test? And boom! And shrapnel through. So why don't we take a look at some of the damage? Yes, we did basically just blow up the whole house. But there's still some house left, so we need to blow up the rest of it, or we can just switch to the radio tower. I don't know I can't do a poll, actually. So, we're just gonna, we're just gonna keep beating up that same house. So, I'm gonna give you a little tutorial on how to do it. Oh, whoa, what was that? So, I suggest using the airlock door. You don't have to use it, and actually, I should have used a button for this, so why don't we replace it with the button? Security craft, reinforced button, sure, I guess. We are making a missile launch silo, so there. Now that we got that going, you can have reinforced button. You don't have to make it reinforced. For this, you're going to need reinforced button, concrete bricks, chain link fence. Now, you don't really need the turbo fan. You can have your own creative way of generating power. I'll let you do that in your own. And you're also going to need some redstone. You're also going to need some redstone. Steel pole, siren. If you want it to look ugly, just do this. But if you want it to look nice, then again, I did say this wasn't survival friendly. You can definitely build this in survival. It's just definitely take you some time. Ignore this. We're in a flat world. That's why it's kind of just, It doesn't even I wish I could get, I think I can get rid of this. Yeah, so you see, the reason I would choose this is because I would choose HBM. Well, you need HBM, actually. You need the same mod pack. So you don't need the glass panels. I'm not sure how you craft these. Let's take a look, actually. I don't know how to craft these. Can you craft them? No, so just use glass panes. It's not telling me, so I'm just going to assume that you can't craft them. So, swap these out for glass panes. We're going to need redstone repeaters, just normal redstone, and, well, your choice of missile. Since this is a small, you can replace this with a small missile launch pad. So, I would build, I would actually build this bigger if I were, yeah, so, you don't actually need the turbo fan, you don't need this chain link fence, bye-bye. You probably, if you're using a turbo fan, then you might need it. So, let's take a look at the design here. Buttons, airlock door, oh, glowstone. If you want better looking, wait. I'm not sure. Okay, wait. Sorry, is this craftable? Whoa. Stone. Sorry, I suck at using a keyboard. You could just use reinforced glowstone and concrete slab on top. For some reason you can't craft this. That's annoying. Okay, now that we've got everything else out of the way, just get rid of this. I would use glowstone, but it is a pain in the butt to install a working light system, so it just isn't worth the trouble. Unless you're good at redstone. I'm good at redstone logic. I'm not the best at optimizing wires necessarily, so first thing we're gonna look at is this lever system. I would build something like this. Basically what it's doing. Look, if you're good at redstone, I don't know, okay? I don't know, the siren still goes off with, so hold up, let's look at this. We know that goes up to here, and we can see that. If you want it to be, like, better and just don't want it, yeah. So, basically how the redstone system is going to work is when you pull the lever, it comes from under here. So, this goes to this, this wireless transmitter from the mod you install, the other one. This wireless transmitter has a frequency of frequency of choice, and this receiver receives it and sends a signal to this. You should do an alarm, okay? Obviously. Mine specifically is the container alarm. Mine is the container alarm. You can choose your own alarm. So the redstone system, so that, it goes to this first, instantly. But then, you wait a long time, a pretty long time, for it to reach the missile and launch the missile. Did I mention you need these along? You don't need exactly the long-range target designator. It just makes your life easier, really. You don't need a battery, again, our turbo fan is doing the job here. I don't know how to get kerosene. You don't need exactly the turbo fan. You don't need exactly the turbo fan. You can use your own power source. You could use a nuclear reactor, which will make this base even more dangerous. So, now that we know how the redstone system works, let's move on to the next thing. The actual material. This thing should be able to withstand an explosion with the effortless building mod. It just kind of makes your life easier, really. It really just makes your life easy, really. So, you pretty much need, if you want it to be, like, stable, if you wanna, it only makes sense for you to, you know, like, it only really makes sense for you to make it out of concrete and these concrete tiles. How are you that stupid? There is no way that you, even with the protection I have provided, you still managed to get shredded by it. You idiot. Whoever just died to that, I swear. Ain't no way. Okay. The power source. Easy. I already said multiple times. Use your own power source. I don't care. I don't really care that much. Power source, out of the way. Structure, out of the way. Doors. I suggest using an airlock door. Do you have to use an airlock door? No, I just suggest that you should probably use one. And with that out of the way, wiring, it shouldn't be too complicated for you. It's really simple. This ain't a block-by-block tutorial. It isn't really a block-by-block tutorial. And to craft any type of missile, well, the missile is up to you, really. You could use, there's a ton of missiles you can use here. There's way too many missiles you can use. HBM just gives you basically full free will, and I'm giving you free will to choose your own missile. So why don't we use the micronuclear missile? It only goes the fallout only goes 70 meters. 70 meters. So it goes here. Okay. It definitely reaches us. So I feel like we should change our, we don't need to change our missile, we just need to change our target. Over there. Oh, I didn't even know that would work. So, you know, let's take a look at this. You don't need to use reinforced guns also, so it looks nice in here. Holy moly. Okay, shut up. Holy moly. No, that's insane. It absolutely exploded. What do you mean, micronuclear? Brother, that created Fallout 3. If Fallout 3 was a game, it would look like this, buddy. What do you mean? How did it withstand that? It seems as if we need something better. If you're using micronuclear missiles, I suggest you change up your base. What do you mean 70 blocks? What the hell do you mean 70 blocks? What do you mean? That is not... It is encroaching on us. Okay, wait. If you're using nuclear missiles, I suggest something. Use a radiation absorber. Yep. If you're using nuke missiles, well, just say that you should definitely use some of this. God, caps lock. So, there's your tutorial. Exact structure, we're not done yet. So exact structure is complicated because I would use a floor like this, and if you were gonna make a control panel like this, a lever, it hard powers the block, and then the redstone says hi, and then it powers whatever's there. That's how it would work. That's how it would work anyways. So I would build a console like this with redstone under it. If you could hide the redstone, that's even better. That would have made my life easier if I had it, actually. I had to... Hey, well, you learn something new every day. So, basically, if you're using nuclear missiles, I would put an array of radiation absorbers or like decontaminators. That's a way to get rid of radiation. That's a way to slap it in the face and say, get out. This exact build, I would definitely make it bigger. I already said that, but never mind. I'm not sure if just enough items is acting up right now, and it just doesn't want to tell me how to craft glowstone panels. I don't know. Someone let me know. I barely know how to use just enough items, because a lot of the time it just says no, and then it just doesn't work. So, if y'all know how to craft those, props to you, I guess. See ya. How do I stop this? Goodbye.